Well, welcome everyone to the seventh session of the HWell Epic Conference 2026. So we are currently midday today, Tuesday, and I'm very excited about being your session chair today. My name is John Munoz. I'm currently an assistant professor in Wilfrid Laurier University in the User Experience Design program. Today's challenge area would be healthy lifestyles and wellness. And we will bring some very exciting guest speakers today who will be describing their work and their research in this particular area. We have different kinds of applications coming from virtual cognitive educational tools, looking into technology assisted devices for therapeutic walking, as well as exploring how the landscape of startups, and specifically one use case is currently doing with technology development. So thank you everyone for joining us as we continue week 2 at the EPIC conference. And before we begin today's session, I would like to note that the sessions are taking place on Zoom from 12 to 1 p.m. Eastern Time until this coming Thursday. We encourage you to attend all sessions. Check out for HWell Epic Conference webpage to download the Epic Conference program, which normally includes details on each challenge area, session, and watch the recordings from last week's sessions on YouTube. We'll begin today with my short presentation on the challenge area by HWell, defined as healthy lifestyles and wellness. Then we will enjoy 2 research presentations, lasting each of them roughly 10 minutes with a 5 minutes questions Q&A following each presenter. Followed by a moving the dial presentation featuring supported startup. And finally, we will close the session with general Q&A that you can put to any of the presenters today, or just to make up your final introspective reflection after the end of the session. I'm excited to introduce today's EPIC conference presenters. We have Darin and Mary B, which will be talking about developing a virtual cognitive educational program for older adults to promote healthy aging, which is something that is somehow very close to the research I do. Natasha and Ada will be presenting strengthening the evidence base for a technology assisted therapeutic walking program. The walking program is called Walk Best. BEST is an acronym for better, faster, longer, stronger, and they will be describing their implementation trail on this. And finally, Joy Huerta, the CEO of Exit Life Ready, will talk about how they're moving the dial by improving quality of life for Canadian older adults. All attendees are encouraged to use Q&A, the Q&A box that you will see on the bottom of the Zoom window to ask questions, leave a comment on a question, and vote questions that others have submitted. So you can also do reactions and things like that. We also welcome you to use the chat overall to engage in specific conversations and ask for follow-up hyperlinks and others if you're interested in a particular research. So remember, there's a link of the YouTube channel right here in the chat that you can just follow and watch and rewatch some of the previous work and things if you were not able to attend these previous sessions. And without further ado, let's begin with my short introduction to the challenge area of healthy lifestyle and wellness. So, as I mentioned before, my name is John. Currently work as an assistant professor and a game designer in the User Experience Design program at Wilfrid Laurier University. And I'm going to try to briefly describe as I put it in my own words, was the healthy lifestyle and wellness challenge area described by Age Well. What I truly believe we are looking into in this particular area is how technology, and again, understand technology as a more general word, not only information and communication technologies, but think of any other kinds of services and technological artifacts and community programs can make everyday wellness more accessible. Accessibility is a key aspect that we all are trying to tackle from different angles. We also want to do and bring some of these programs and technologies, tackling everyday wellness to make it more motivated and social and sustainable for aging Canadians. And that's a challenge that normally implies a multifaceted aspect of older adults. So not to understand them as an umbrella term, but looking into the individual differences that all communities and individuals may have across Canada. An important aspect that I would like to highlight is that a technology should enable wellness existence. So technology shouldn't be the central aspect of the solutions that we try to create. So in my particular research, I try to work around co-designing. So that means understanding people's lived experience, preferences, barriers, safety, and overall, what are the kinds of meaningful activities that they do every day and how some of the technological solutions that I'm bringing to the table could fit into their daily practices and daily life. I would like to encourage always to think of engaging experiences. So think of adherence. How can they adhere to certain programs and use and participate in the programs or use the technology, that piece of technology that you are designing? How can you improve the way that participants will be able to better socialize or to find purpose around the interaction that they have with this particular artifact that you are creating. It is also quite important from a research perspective to sense and to be able to capture certain elements of that interaction from the participants. So think of sensing both the mind and body. Think of sensing what people are doing exactly, what kinds of elements are they clicking, what is the interaction that they're doing, how do they utilize the body to interact with some of these technologies, but at the same time, and probably in a more complex fashion, look into how do they engage mentally with the activities that you and the technologies that you are proposing. And lastly, always think of how do you plan to integrate some of these technologies for the different scenarios where they will be potentially used? Think of homes, community centers, clinics, and care settings, and not only in this cozy and comfortable research laboratories where we tend to develop all of these solutions. So in my work, I try to use different kinds of interactive technologies, ranging from fluorescent projections. Sorry, there it is. So ranging from fluorescent projections to virtual reality headsets, large displays, and looking into elements for. Apologies. So looking into elements for keeping participants physically but also mentally active, exploring music therapy, for instance, in different applications, and bringing participants to other spaces and immersing them into different virtual environments to get them physically and cognitively active. So the real question I'm trying to solve in my research is how can immersive, playful, and adaptive interactive systems make wellness more inclusive, measurable by using sensors and other different devices, and socially meaningful for older adults. So without further ado, remember there's always communities and there's always individuals waiting patiently for us as researchers to create solutions that could potentially be integrated into the daily life activities and help them to improve their wellness and lifestyle. So without further ado, I would like to turn things over to the first presentation, which will have Darin and Mary B as the guest speakers. So Mary B has served as a senior volunteer roles with the Arthritis Society and the CIHR Institute for Musculoskeletal Health and Arthritis Research Ambassador. She has since been a patient partner on numerous teams, such as the CIHR Chronic Pain Network and the University of Virginia Pain in Older Adults Research Team. While keeping her recent experience as a caregiver in mind, Mary served on the Health Standards Organization Technical Committee for the 2023 Long-Term Care Standard, and she's on the team writing the HSO palliative care standard. She's also a member of HWEL, Older Adult and Caregiver Advisory Committee. And Darin is currently a third-year undergrad student at the University of Toronto, a specialist program in psychology research and the cognitive science. Career researcher, Darin is particularly interested in understanding the neurophysiological basis of conscious experience, especially as it pertains to memory. In doing so, he hopes to develop innovations that can empower people to live healthy and fulfilling lives as they age. Outside the lab, you can find Darin in meditation practices, in the dojo, training judo, or running on the track. So please help me to welcome Mary B. and Darin to this presentation. The floor is yours.
Awesome. Thank you very much for that introduction, John. It is my honor to be able to make this presentation on behalf of this research team. I'm going to start the presentation and then Darin is going to take it over in 4 or 5 minutes. So if we move on to our first slide, we know that we have a rapidly aging population, so that 1 in 4 Canadians will be over the age of 65 by the year 2035. We know that memory, the trend of memory and cognitive performance decreases with age. As we can see on the graph there on the right side, with the 3 lines going down from the top left to the bottom right. Interestingly, though, you can see the other line going up, and that refers to world knowledge. So sometimes I think we older people may have some more wisdom as we get older. So in terms of lived experience, however, I'm almost 65. I'll be 65 in a couple of months. And I've already noticed that my memory isn't what it used to be, which is concerning for me. When we move into the dementia space, of course, we're talking about memory loss on a whole different level. There's 770,000 Canadians that currently have some form of dementia. We know that the prevalence doubles every 5 years after we turn 65. And so much so that by the time we can reach 85 years of age, 25 to 35% of us will have dementia. And again, in terms of lived experience, this really, really concerns me and my family because my parents both had Alzheimer's disease, and now my sibling was recently diagnosed with young, early onset Alzheimer's disease. So with these considerations in mind, this team got to work and developed or created a smartphone app called Hippo Camera that allows users, healthy users, to record videos of everyday events and label them with memorable cues that are specific enough to help the users or to help us remember past events. And I had a chance to use this app, and it is fun. Darin is going to put a link to a video on this app in the chat. So this app has been shown to improve memory for its users, and it works by activating the hippocampus, which is part of our brain, obviously, which led to the term hippocamera for this new app. So when the team surveyed users of hippocamera, not only did it show that it did improve memory, but the users said that they wanted more information. They wanted to know, or they want to know, how the app improves memory. How does that work? What is the neuroscience behind that in lay terms? They also want to know what the differences are between memory loss in healthy aging versus in mild cognitive impairment and in dementia. And with these gaps in mind and these needs in mind qualitatively from the users, the team has gone on to develop a psychoeducational program via modules that are going to be embedded within Hippocamera in the Knowledge Hub. And that's what Darin's going to talk about. So take it away, Darin.
Thank you so much, Mary, for the lovely introduction, and it's been an honor to work with you in this project so far. So I'm going to talk about a little bit of the basis for this project. So something that we use to create the modules or this educational program that Mary alluded to earlier is something called the person-based approach, which is an approach in implementation science that basically guides intervention designing researchers into developing a program that can facilitate knowledge translation. So in our case, there are 4 steps for the person-based approach, and the first 2 involve planning and development. And the first step would be synthesizing previous qualitative studies of user experiences with similar interventions. So this is not only looking at qualitative data from our lab, but also data from other labs on healthy aging. And then with that, we identify needs and challenges with the synthesis, and then create a set of guiding principles. So that would be our phase 1, or planning and development. And then for phase 2, which would be the last 2 steps, which directly follow each other, we use these guiding principles to develop an actual intervention that is tangible and usable for our target users. And finally, we observe these user reactions to intervention elements and revise to optimize future experiences. So in that case, what we would do is have qualitative interviews with older adults and give them this app and ask them what they think of it, point blank. What are some issues that you see? And the important part about this is that it integrates user experiences, which is something that the previous literature hasn't really done. And it's important to keep in mind that, and that would be phase 2, or optimization phase, that this is an iterative process. So it isn't just that these steps occur sequentially, but that they occur in tandem with each other and in a cycle. As we see more feedback, we get more feedback from older adults on this application. We tailor it over time to make sure that it aligns well with their values and priorities. And to give us, I'm not going to go into too much depth here with the guiding principles, but our guiding principles, at least for this project, were minimizing cognitive load, autonomy supportive learning, and applying memory science to design. I won't speak too much in depth here, but if you have questions, I definitely would be happy to explain that. In addition, we also have some early findings from our project. So these findings were from interviews that we conducted with 17 older adults with a mean age of 74. We had 3 males and 14 females. And through these interviews, we, as I said in the previous slide with stage 4, or step 4, is to assess overall usability and acceptability. And we use 2 measures quantitatively for this. The first one being the Net Promoter Score, which is just a scale that people get on a scale of 1 to 10 about how likely they would recommend the application or intervention. And as we can see here, we have a relatively acceptable score of 6.5. And in addition to that, we also have the Mobile Application User Questionnaire, which is another measure of usability, where people are asked on a scale of 1 to 7, for different items and different sections. How well did they find the app? Was it usable to them? Was the interface usable? If they made a mistake, could they go back and stuff like that? And you can see we have a relatively high score of 5.26 out of 7 there. But what's even more important about these results is the changes that we made to our modules. And we made 4 major changes from version 1 to version 2. So on the left, you can see that's our first version that we had piloted before. And then on the right, you can see our second version. And there are 3 major changes that I will highlight here on the screen. These include 1, it's no longer really framed as a lesson. So in terms of an educational program, we want to try to make it more inclusive and more grounded. So it's much more of a blog and article format. Second thing was that we made the language a lot friendlier and less prescriptive. And by doing that, we removed jargon. We made it a lot friendlier and easier for people to interact with. And the most noticeable difference would be the mascot, which we removed, as we noted that many participants were expressing how dissatisfied they were with it because of how juvenile and how patronizing it seemed to be. And so as a result, we removed that and we replaced it with more adult-like imagery. I would say that with our version 2 data, though, we're seeing a lot of very encouraging and promising feedback. And there are 4 themes that we've identified. The first one being language and tone. As you can see, this participant says that inclusivity is really, really important. So on some modules, we have pictures of food, but we want to make sure that it's vegetarian friendly. So we would include those things as well. Another highlight would be the relevance to user. This participant says that they would be very, very willing to use the app. They're already thinking about trying to use the different memory strategies and different neuroscience techniques that we have explained in the app. And in addition to that, people have also been very, very curious about additional topics that could be added, including humor and sleep. And this person says, and the other thing is humor, address humor with the brain, because I think we need humor, and sometimes humor can lighten the load sometimes. But I think they're touching onto something very important there. And finally, appreciation of visuals. A lot of people mentioned how nice and appealing the app was. So they liked, on some things, we had a graphic, a tree graphic here, and they liked that as representation. So in terms of future directions, there are a multitude of ways that we can take this. Through 3 immediate steps include continuing to code key and recurring themes. So those ones that I just mentioned on the previous slide with different patterns of feedback. Then making changes to the knowledge hub in accordance with that feedback to better tailor it for books. And then this is really just a reiteration of the previous slide, but some major themes that we have noticed include inclusivity, topic integration, and curiosity and sequential organization. With that, I would like to thank everyone for their attention and time. And I would like to thank AgeWell for allowing us to give us a platform to present our work. And it's been an honor to present this to everybody and sharing with everyone. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Darin and Mari B, for this very interesting presentation, very interesting approach to memory and to get people connected through memories and overall interaction with your app. So we're at this point open to questions or comments. Got reading some of the comments here on the chat. Some people really reinforcing how important it is to keep things individual preferences that each individual may have. So how these apps could basically tackle some of those individual elements, like comments around the things that you eat, being vegetarian or not, or any other concepts that you may have around memory and perception of your cognition. There's a YouTube video that Allison has shared as well for people to take a closer look over the hypo camera video if you are interested. So this has been an interesting presentation. So is the app free for people to use?
Yes, it's free. You can find it on the App Store or Google Play right now. We're pushing more updates to it, and as users will continue to use it, they'll start to see these changes. So currently what we have presented today is merely a prototype, so it hasn't been published yet, but we're very much looking forward to getting it published within this year. By the end of this year, people will be able to go to the Knowledge Hub and look at different topics that they would like to learn about. But yes, it's free.
Nice. There's a question here for Mary. Mary B, is it, according to your opinion, hypocamera, in addition, active lifestyle can support reduction of dementia among older adults?
Oh, I think that question is probably well beyond my ability to answer. The app is really designed for healthy older adults. So, Darin, can you add to that? I mean, I think the better our memory is, if we head into something like dementia, the better. But that's just a very lay perspective. I really don't know.
So I think that in terms of having hippocamera as a complement to active lifestyle can be very, very helpful in terms of dementia reduction. And this is really important to emphasize that the app isn't built for people with dementia, unfortunately, because it's mostly as a preventative tool. And I think with the different activities that we have in the app, including this educational program, it would allow people to foster good habits and healthy habits that would help them cultivate a healthy lifestyle that in the end reduces the risk of dementia. We're planning to add more strategies and different modules in there that discuss. There are some canonical effects that we see in the memory literature about improving memory, and we're thinking about adding those. So, for example, using distinctive cues. So, anytime you want to remember something, you might use a unique or special cue for that. If I was thinking about a painting I really liked at the Ontario Museum, I would think about, oh, well, I was on this street, and when I was there, I saw this huge
Mm.
parade, and that would be kind of my distinctive
Interesting.
cue for that. That's
Thank you,
something that
Darin.
we actually have. Sorry, yeah, we have in the
No, thank you. Thank you for answering those questions. I see some other questions coming up. Probably at the end, we will bring some of those back. So for now, we will thank again Darin and Mary B for being here. We'll turn things over to the next presentation. Presentation is entitled Strengthening the Evidence Base for Technology-Assisted Therapeutic Walk-in Program. So the speakers that I have for this second presentation are first Natasha. She's a PhD student in rehabilitation sciences in McGill University in Montreal, supervised by Professor Nancy Mayo. With a background in physiotherapy, Natasha's research focuses on healthy aging and active living through intervention targeted at improving mobility. Her work also includes exploring metrics for wearable sensors and their qualification as gates a specific digital clinical outcome assessment among individuals living with chronic health conditions. Her doctoral work is centered on the implementation of the Walk Best technology, which is the one that she will be presenting today. And she is quite interested in digital technologies that can make rehab more accessible, meaningful, and sustainable for older people. Ada Pagnotta is the other person that's coming. She's a retired occupational therapist with a master in rehabilitation science from McGill University as well. So her area of expertise is musculoskeletal and geriatric clientele in rehabilitation. She is a twice published author in the Journal of Rheumatology in areas of clinical research. Ada was an annual guest lecturer at McGill School of Occupational Therapy for over 20 years. Now in retirement, happily retirement. I hope she continues to offer workshops and presentations like this one's for different communities like Arthritis South Shore organization. She's very much involved as a volunteer in Parkinson's Canada local branch in Montreal as a group facilitator. So please, Natasha and Ada, take it over.
Thank you so much, John, for the wonderful introduction. And thank you, Alison, for this great opportunity. It is an absolute honor to be here. I would also like to thank Ada for her expertise and for sharing her perspectives and for, of course, collaborating with us. So I'll jump right into the presentation. Every person will, at some point in their lives, experience a decline in walking, either amongst themselves or with a loved one. This decline in walking not only affects mobility, but also affects independence, social participation, confidence, and quality of life. Walking is the most valued life activity, yet the most vulnerable to decline. Poor walking is the leading cause for falls, and most falls occur while walking. 1 in 10 people don't walk well enough to reap the health benefits of walking, and this number significantly increases as we age. It increases to 50% among older adults do not walk well enough, and 25% fall every year. Falls are also the leading cause for death and disability amongst this population. While exercise and physiotherapy can improve gait and reduce falls, access to these services are limited and effects dissipate without continuous practice. For example, during a PT session, when a person is asked or encouraged to walk with their heel first, it changes their stooped and shuffling gait into one that is upright and striding. But the moment feedback ceases, the person tends to revert to their original suboptimal gait pattern. This need for a sustainable and accessible solution is what led to the development of the heel-to-toe wearable sensor. The heel-to-toe is a Class 1 medical device that has been manufactured and developed by Physiobiometrics. It has been approved by Health Canada and it provides therapy in every step. It is a lightweight sensor that clips onto the side of your shoe and provides real-time auditory feedback in the form of a beep every time the angular velocity at your ankle crosses a personalized threshold. Now, this beep acts via the dopamine system and promotes neuroplasticity in the brain. And it also works on motor learning, retraining gait to be optimal, fluid, safe, and sustainable. WalkBest puts together both structured exercises along with feedback from the heel to toe. It is based on the hypothesis that by improving gait, we can improve confidence, which will reduce falls, which will improve walking capacity and reduce fall risk and thereby improve gait. It is based on the 3 key principles of motor learning: expert coaching, practice, and feedback, and we emphasize on improving quality of walking before improving quantity. Our focus is on real-world walking activities, as walking in the real world is unpredictable, and it is based on the 7 key elements essential for walking best: heel first, pushing off from the hip, swinging your arms, not looking at your feet, breathing, and most important of them all, smiling and enjoying your walk. This unique technology-assisted walking program was implemented in collaboration of 3 community organizations, 2 of which are based in Montreal and 1 is in Kitchener, Ontario. It was implemented in winter and spring of 2025 in 3 phases. 48 participants were screened over the phone, following which those eligible followed gait-specific exercise training for 4 weeks, twice every week, and sessions lasted 60 minutes. Followed by at-home training for 4 weeks with the heel-to-toe wearable sensor, where participants practiced walking for 5 minutes twice every day. Now, out of the 40 people who completed the exercise training, 65% improved and gained over 35 meters and gained on average 46 meters. And those of the 37 who completed the at-home training with the heel-to-toe, 45% sustained or further improved on their walk test and gained on average 24 meters. Now, these numbers are important because a gain of every 35 meters reduces your fall risk by 7%. With this, I will pass it on to Ada to share her perspectives and dive deeper into her feedback about this implementation program.
Well, thank you, Natasha. Thank you, Well. I didn't expect it to be presenting when retired, but I'm delighted to be here. So what I observed as a volunteer is that the participant had a great time being in the group. It was enjoyable and motivating for them, and this was evident by their chit-chat before and during the session. They asked each other how they found their walking practice during the previous week, and they gave one another encouragement and moral support. The participants felt heard and supported. They were glad to have access to a healthcare professional to address some of their mobility concerns. They had questions like whether to use a cane or hiking poles or a knee brace while walking, whether to continue walking exercise practice despite pain, whether to use heat or ice to alleviate pain. These personal and specific questions are not easily resolved through online searches, and access to a healthcare professional is often difficult, and such concerns may have been left unanswered. So I'm sure that this community access to a healthcare coach saved a few participants from further problems down the line. Also, the participants appreciated the sensor. They viewed it as a useful and engaging tool that reassured them that they were walking correctly. And I observed a visible improvement in participants' quality and quantity of their walking, even after a few sessions, and in their level of confidence in the strides. The comments that are seen here in this slide attest to how much the program helped them. For example, my doctor spontaneously congratulated me on improving my walking and posture. I have not fallen or tripped since the start of your program, etc. So and these were just reflective of the many accolades that the participants gave us during and after the program. How I see the program in the community as a retired therapist, I see it as a program that would offer an evidence-based, ready-to-use intervention plan. The use of walking as a therapeutic modality in an area not directly, the use of walking as a therapeutic modality is an area not directly addressed by most fitness and health programs in the community. Thereby, it would fill an important gap in the community. For community partners, the program would be easy to administer, as the program offers a coach's workbook with clear step-by-step instructions on how to execute the program. For the participants, the workbook that they have and a simple sensor technology would make the program very distinctive and appealing to them. The workbook and sensor would definitely provide not only short-term support during the program, but also provide long-term value after the program ends and continue to help the seniors. As already mentioned, this program would provide much-needed community access to healthcare attention and advice to seniors. I can see this program as a great asset in such settings such as community organizations serving seniors or public, private, geriatric outpatient health centers, or in senior citizen residences. Next slide, please. However, there are challenges with the implementation and sustainability, and the ones I see is the finance, the funding for the sensors, the workbook, and the coaches, and the funding to have the space, marketing, the outreach for the publicity in the community, the infrastructure, like the location, which, practicing walking, you would need a large location, and the specific area requirements, like the equipment, and human resources, trying to find people to employ and train as coaches. Natasha, I'll leave it up to you now.
Thank you so much. This brings us to the end of our presentation, and we would like to emphasize on move better to move more. Thank you.
Thank you, both Natasha and Naya, for this interesting presentation around walking and devices that could support walking overall and therapy walking overall. So remember to visit physiobiometrics.com. That's one of the websites that is there for some of this things. We may have some time for at least one question. I have multiple here, but one that is quite interesting here is, according to the opinion that you have, is what so technologies can support, how you think technologies can support reduced risk of falls.
I'll just jump into this question. So, this device that we just spoke about, the technology, not only assesses your walking, but also provides feedback. So, by what we mean by reducing falls is we have the top-down approach that we're targeting the brain by providing positive feedback every time you take a good step with your heels first. You might have noticed a lot of older adults shuffling and walking, that sort of increases their risk of fall even when they turn, when they take multiple steps to cover a shorter distance. So this is the method by which we help them reduce their risk of falling by making their gait upright and striding and reinforcing that optimal gait pattern. But we also have a risk of fall algorithm in the sensor, which is based on a logistic regression model that predicts your risk of fall. Thank you.
So the device is certainly facilitating the wearability of this kind of assessment, but at the same time also providing some feedback in the way that you walk. So I like the way that you can actually bring it to any place, and when you want to tackle this 10,000 steps goal every day, you can just fit in and then use your phone to gain a little bit of feedback from that. I would say similar to what some of the wearable sensors would do nowadays with sleep equality and similar ones. So this is very, very, very interesting to note this. So I will turn it over to our next presentation, but we probably will be back to some of these questions that we have here, and just considering the agenda, trying to stay in time with this. Thank you, Natasha and Ada, as well, for your great presentation. Perfect. So moving on to the last presentation we have today. So we have Joy. She's she has retired from the public service. She's an entrepreneur and the CEO of Exit Life Ready. She's an end-of-life doula, writer, speaker, and facilitator dedicated to helping individuals and organizations to navigate life transitions with purpose and compassion. As the founder of this particular company, which is a digital platform, she combines leadership experience from her career in the public as a public servant with a passion for community impact and meaningful conversations. She's a community volunteer as the Hospice Palliative Care Ontario, advocating for compassionate care and community support. Through her work with Women in Tech and Exit Life Ready, Joy inspires others to lead authentically, embrace change, and live intentionally. So we will be looking into a particular presentation called Move the Dial presentation, and this looks specifically into startups and how they're doing and what kind of technology are they building. So Joy, the floor is yours.
Thank you so much for that warm introduction, John. Greatly appreciated. And thank you, everyone, for inviting us today to be part of this amazing event. I think like all startups and innovation, Exit Life Ready became part of our world based on a personal journey. Understanding the challenges that were presented, pursuing quality of life, a diagnosis, and end-of-life planning. It was developed in collaboration over 2 years with Northern Ontario's end-of-life doulas, bringing community expertise and lived experience into the design of Exit Life Ready. We worked with students with our R&D at Cambrian College, multiple areas of study and expertise, and it was also funded in the startup all the way to continuing today with provincial and federal funders. I think for us, trust is essential when we're supporting older adults, us seasoned in life, caregivers, regardless of our users. And that's why we partnered up with industries such as ThinkOn for data sovereignty. We would like to, recognized CFC, a globally recognized cyber insurance risk management provider, to help ensure our platform is secure, resilient, and it's built for long-term trust. We all understand, and I'm sure every one of us today, our healthcare system often meets people at the point of crisis. Exit Life Ready was aimed to support individuals, families, before that emergency room became that first step in conversation. So we wanted to support families and users to help them bring a voice when they needed it the most and access to the information when it is most vital in crisis. And as many of the stats have showed us, we are aging at a quick rate. And by 2030, 2035, 1 in 4 will be 65 years or older. Exit Life Ready, I'd like to introduce you. It is technology-enabled solution designed to help all users, not just our aging seasons as myself, in all demographics, including the caregivers, the family, that support system. We wanted it to be able to support people to navigate with confidence, dignity, with a purpose, while ensuring that highest standard of privacy and trust through encryption, that data protection in transit all the way to in rest. And for that, we kept it simple to make it easy for families to manage that healthcare and vital information when it's most critical. We designed the product for simplicity and easy to use. We were in 2 years in development, 1 year in the app stores with our beta. And those beta users came back with that feedback and giving us life-lived experience. You go to the app stores, it is subscription-based, you download that app, upload your documents, add in your prescriptions, your medications, your healthcare team, your legacy, your top 10 favorite recipes. And we aligned with FIPDA and applicable Canadian privacy requirements. And we are a global product, so we do have that HIPAA environment that we took into consideration. I think for me, Exit Life Ready meets our users where they are today, connected, engaged, and increasingly comfortable with technology. Our platform helps transform that digital confidence into something a little bit more meaningful, being prepared, independent, family communication, and that leads to a better quality of life. We are using technology not simply to manage ourselves as we become, I like to say seasoned, not aging, because I like to think I'm a little bit more seasoned, but to help people navigate with purpose and with confidence. I think one of the biggest myths, as I've identified, is older adults. There's so many individuals that we don't use technology, but guess what? We do. And in reality, older Canadians are using technology at a fast-growing rate. It's not convincing them to use the technology. It's making sure that it's creating that meaningful, loved experience that they just feel trusted. And I think that's where we're going with our initiative and with Exit Life Ready. It's impact, it's quality of life. It's just the fact that most Canadians all understand the importance of planning for our future, but very few of us are taking those meaningful steps to document their wishes. And our stats, unfortunately, in Canada are not the greatest when it comes to advanced care planning. So Exit Life Ready bridges that gap by providing that digital platform that helps the individuals, users, caregivers, family members move from thinking about being prepared to actually planning for it. And we're changing the dialogue from crisis response to being life ready. Why does all this matter to us? Why are we so passionate? Why am I passionate on my exit strategy personally? Today's innovation challenge is not simply just building new technology, because we have many startups and many organizations that will do just that. It's creating meaningful solutions that improve that quality of life. As our population age, we have opportunity today to use technology to empower people, support our caregivers, and help individuals prepare for the future before, like many of us, that crisis happens and we're reporting to an emergency room for care. At Exit Life Ready, we believe innovation should give people confidence, peace of mind, control of their story, their journey. And that's how we are truly moving the dial today. My founding team, I have a wonderful team, and we wouldn't be where we are without the support of, funded programs for federal, provincial, and on all our individuals. But our founding fathers of Exit Life Ready were at the intersection of lived experience, legal expertise, and innovation. And we're designing those solutions that are not just, they're being proactive, not reactive, so that we're giving the quality individual, our users, the care and confidence as if they're our own family. Our next phase in development is our Exit Life Ready edition, is our Power of Attorney and Will Builder. And there's many organizations on the market today, but we wanted to the feedback was of one all-in kind of inclusive shop. So legacy, health, legal, and a one-stop shop to make it easier for individuals who wish to use Exit Life Ready as part of their family. And we wanted to keep it affordable. So we are a subscription-based model. We do offer the 7-day free trials. We have amazing engineers, software engineers that are coming from the military builds of some of the largest financial institutions. We have analytics and data, and we listen to our users because we are seasoned in lives ourselves. So for us, our users are telling us what they'd like to see, where we go next, and how they have faith in us. I want to thank you today for giving me the opportunity to present. If anyone ever has a question, we're always here to support. But be life ready, from medical emergencies all the way to your legacy, because we all have a story, a journey, and we all deserve the same respect. So thank you.
Thank you, Joy, for this great presentation of your app. Congrats on getting it both to the Play Store and the iStore. So this is also a great achievement. So I will ask for the rest of the presenters to also turn on your cameras, and then we will be going through some of the questions. So I'm going to start with this question, Joy, for you. And I think you briefly responded already to it. I think Ron is asking, in what country is the data stored? I think you mentioned Canada has potential.
We are. So all our servers, we believe in that data sovereignty. We kept everything local with ThinkOn, who was one of the largest in Canada. But yes, our servers, everything are built. We are a Canadian startup corp, but we are a global app. So we are across the country.
Perfect. I think there's another question here for Natasha and her team. I think you probably replied that on the chat, but some participant here would like to know that was the sensor sensors was the cost of the sensor, and is there any certification, and is being currently used in any rehab facility?
Thank you for your questions. I think they're all wonderful questions. So I'll begin with the last question. Yes, the sensor has been implemented in multiple clinics, and it is being used by physical therapists and other researchers in the realm of rehabilitation sciences. Among people with various chronic conditions, it's been most used in Parkinson's, people with multiple sclerosis, people with sarcoma, and various other conditions. We are now going into implementation with our pediatric population with cerebral palsy. So it has multiple uses across various populations.
Thanks.
This has been great with older adults. The price for the heel to toe sensor is 150 Canadian dollars, and it is available on Shopify or the PhysioBiometrics website, which you can access through the chat. And we also have a self-paced online module coming up for those who are interested in becoming walk-best coaches. Thank you.
Thank you, Natasha. I got a question also for Mary B and Darin. And this is actually an interesting anecdote. It says, my mother will forget to stay home for meals on wheels. So we left a note on the counter to remind her, but she will forget to read the note. So the question is, would a person with mild cognitive impairment or dementia, like a mother, would they remember to use the app?
Uh, I'm coming from a person with lived experience. I was caregiver for my mom and dad who both had Alzheimer's, and not only did they both have Alzheimer's at the same time, neither one of them knew that they were sick themselves or that the other one was. So it was a big, big challenge. And no, I mean it's quite possible that they would forget to look at the note. And you might want to put the note on somewhere where they are going to see it. But I mean, this is again just coming from someone who has been there as an idea.
Thank you. Yeah, quite interesting to see that life experience as well, and how new apps will adapt to some of those elements of remembering or not using the app. Also looking into get more questions here for Natasha. This is a very Canadian one. Do you think the sensors will work on the snow?
That's a great question. Thank you for that question. Unfortunately, our current model does not work on snow, and we do not recommend to use this sensor to run errands or for daily walking. It focuses on focused walking so that you can do 5 minutes or 10 minutes, because if you do any longer than that, you could feel sore. It is just like doing exercises at the gym, right? Lifting dumbbells. So when you do this, it's sort of strength training for your muscles that are responsible for walking. So great question. I hope in the future we have a version that is waterproof and can be used in the snow and fits on your snow boots. So that's another thing. It needs to fit on walking shoes. It does not really go well with snow boots because they're very hard and it does not allow much of foot mobility.
Hmm. I also have a question for Joy. Joy, what's the price of this app? What's the business model that you have? Is it a subscription model base?
Can you repeat that, John? It was
I'm
the
looking
pricing?
yeah, what's the pricing? You have a subscription base, a freemium? How does it work?
We do. So we kept it very affordable for all Canadians. As that was our intent in growing. We have a 7-day free trial. We keep it a monthly option at $12.99. We do have an annual yearly at $99.99, and then we have a lifetime at $249. That was built in for some of our partnerships with healthcare institutions and financial planning and such. And then if there are organizations that have a special need, then we look at a volume-based reduction. But we try to keep it very affordable for all. And our power of attorney and will builder will be an inclusive to the app also, and when it launches in the very near future.
How many downloads you have so far, you mentioned?
So our downloads are increasing in a 30-day window. I just pulled up the analytics just for the last 30 days to do this, and we had 745. I think we're now over the 2,800 downloads, and we've been in the App Store for 1 year.
Perfect. Thank you. Mary and Darin, and I'm curious when you were showing the app and how you have been iterating on this app, and there were some kind of like comments around infantilizing, which tends to happen a lot when we try to design technologies and we try to infantilize some of those things. And then he's like, no, it may need some other kind of like rewarding for that. So yeah, I'm just curious in terms of that design and iteration on your project. What was a key element that you learned for like getting into second or third version of your system?
So that's a great question. This is something that I think was one of the biggest changes in terms of transitioning to that first version to the second version. We adapted it so that it's much more, we use the feedback that we received in qualitative interviews to adapt it so that a lot of the language was tuned. Some of it wasn't as infantilizing as before. There were some particular words that people had mentioned, or even just punctuation, for example, like having exclamation marks, having different graphics that were very cartoony looking. As people mentioned and they addressed that to us, we made those changes and we tailored it to more of a adult version. So for example, I think I had that on the slide where you see the mascot, it was replaced with much more age-like imagery. The imagery was much more relevant to people, where people could see that, oh, it's, that's me, kind of. It's kind of resonating with them in that sense. But also, of course, the language itself was something that the participants had felt was infantilizing too. And so we changed it so that it's somewhere in the middle between educational enough, but not too patronizing. Like it's not too, there's like a middle ground there. Yeah.
Interesting. Well, we got 1 p.m. already, so I would like to thank all the speakers and all the presenters today for coming. We have reached towards the end of the presentation today. Remember, we still have 2 more days for this EPIC conference. There's plenty of content, and there's some other conferences happening. And remember checking also the YouTube channel of HWell to see this video later on. And again, thank you everyone for coming and for your great questions and great presentations. So happy to chair the session, and I hope to see you again soon.
Thank you,
you so
everyone.
much.
It was
Thank you
wonderful
so
to meet
much.
everyone.